Traders, today we're going over AMC. I'm going to make it very short, very to the point. We're going over the charts, some key things that I'm watching for. We've been waiting for this moment all month long, and I'm happy to say I'm going to be pushing pretty heavy this week more into AMC. Currently, we're sitting about 1,300 on the option side. And if you're new to the channel, that's what I trade is options, primarily options on everything. And then I have a lot of my long-term positions as far as just holding for, the coming years. That's primarily PaySafe, Palantir, Neo, and some other growth stocks. Personally, most of my trades are options because that's how I make my daily income. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it.
That's what you hear and listen. Give it to you.
Okay, so the first thing I want to point out, this is one of the things that we've been watching quite a bit when it comes to AMC. It's been this short fee ratio and how much it costs to get into these shorts. Now on iBorrowDesk, as of Thursday, they just completely stopped showing these numbers. Thursday through Friday, they just didn't show how much the fee was increasing, which is getting to the point of how big of a red flag we're in. And it makes you wonder
that we are in a completely fraudulent system.
Now, I've been saying manipulation is the thing, I just don't cover it every single day, but now it's slapping us in the face with absolute nonsense and just not giving us the data entirely, not even giving us the respect to lie to us. So that's the key thing, and iBorrowDesk isn't the one being fraudulent, they're just getting their data from Fintel, and Fintel just stopped giving the information out. Now, the question is, are the hedge funds not giving it to them? What's going on? That's the really sketchy part of the question and the equation. And so that's what I want to point out is that I don't believe it's iBorrowDesk. So I still like those guys. They do a really good job, really good source of information from them, and it's free. So I do recommend using those guys if you're interested in getting that type of data. But it's just getting you a slap in the face that the manipulation is real, and it doesn't do any good to just go on Reddit all day and read these articles and just, look for something to be bullish about. But eventually, if something is very strong and very bullish, it'll just slap you in the face with nonsense. Right? So we went all the way up from about 8% to 18%, and now we're at 27%, and then they just stopped giving us the data. So that's just something to be looking at. And then as we look at the chart, we're following it almost to a T. So what I want to look at really quick is the 4-hour time frame. And from basically the beginning of March, or mid-March, sorry, about the 20th is where we started saying this, about the 23rd through right now, the 23rd of April, almost exactly a month, we've sat in this range. We came a little bit below here, which was a little bit concerning, back down to the 8.86 range and broke below it, but then we quickly got back above it, and that was actually right after Trey's video. So I don't really know if Adam Aaron, and that was like a big catalyst, but obviously it was, because it started that uptrend after that, interview did get released. So that's something to take into account. But since this whole time frame, since the 23rd of March, the whole month of April, going into the last week of April, we have remained sideways in downward consolidation. Now, if you don't want to deny that this is downward consolidation, I don't know what to tell you. Until the 13th of April, the mid-April, then we started coming back up, which we can't really call out news, but it looked, we got what we wanted. We got that sideways movement. And the icing on the cake, and you're wondering, Tyler, why did you want this? Why is this so good in your opinion? Well, when we started entering options last week, and I actually entered them a little bit prematurely because I didn't want to, I wanted to wait till the last week of April because I believe the IB would be at the lowest point. I didn't believe we'd get the really strong move until the last week, and we haven't really got that strong move at all yet because the real test is going to be breaking above 14.5, and I believe we're going to get a test of this range once again. So that's going to be the real test of can we break above it. So I don't believe this is even a strong push yet to get that move up, right? So what I want to point out is that we started buying at around this level right here, about 9.5, and we bought more at like 9.7 as well. So that's personally where I got in. And at those price points, the IV was absolutely crushed. And this is the implied volatility or the intrinsic value, whatever one you really want to talk about. Now, the implied volatility was already very low on these. As we consolidated, when you consolidate and move in a certain range, the volatility on that stock is going to go down, meaning the premium on the options typically is going to get cheaper because when the volatility goes down, the premium is less risky per se, north or south. So that's what you want to focus on. Now, the intrinsic value, it's a whole nother subject. And typically that's what IV truly stands for. But when I'm looking at stocks, I'm looking for something with really low volatility, and because I'm trying to get that press back to the upside, because once you get that volatility, the premium is going to skyrocket. That's the reason we went from 9.5 all the way to 10.7 if you're in the Discord, and then you actually were in those options as well that I posted in those videos, then you'll actually see that the price over doubled literally in 30 minutes. So that's something to take into account because you finally got a really big push up. So that's something to focus on. But now I still want to highlight that I don't believe, there's any run is over. I don't want to say that at all. What I do want to point out really quick is go into the lower time frame, the higher time frames, and go down into the lower time frame. So as we just get a quick zoom in here, I want to point out that the OBV, right, on the 4-hour chart for AMC still looks very strong. We're getting that trend. This is what I talk about a lot too, is you want to see these slow trends, especially on like AMC. This is what you want to see, the slow, steady growth, because eventually it's just like we did here. We slow, steady, and then boom, we shot up, right? Right here, we just consolidated down. We really got the consolidation over April, and then boom, we're going. And I can put some money on it because we haven't had the volume increase yet. And I'll show the volume here in a second. We haven't had that volume, but once that 100 million volume starts coming in, I can guarantee we start moving massively to the upside. And the question is going to be, when do you sell your options? And I know that's what people are going to ask me. Now, I can't give you an answer when to sell your options. I'm just not able to do that. One, I'm just a finance major in college right now. I'm wrapping up my degree right now. But even if I had my degree, even if I was a financial advisor, even if I had all that qualifications, I still wouldn't give you that answer. It's for you to make that decision. Ultimately, AMC is one of the riskiest plays that there is. But honestly, right now, I think it's just getting fired up. But there's a key thing that I want to watch for as we go into the week. So as we come into the week, this is the 1-hour chart as well. And I do want to highlight something on the chart very quickly. So what I want to say is, if we look at the 1 hour, we're getting that move back to the upside. So we always anticipate we don't get the break of the resistance on the first attempt. We came back down, and now we're retesting, but we're making higher lows all the way up. That's something we like to see. And then if we break it down to the 15-minute, this is where things get very interesting. As we come to the 15-minute, this is something that we were seeing in the past on each of those legs that we were making, right? So we got above, we just rode the VWAP all the way up for the whole leg, and then we finally got that really volatile move, right? And then we came down. But now we're trending sideways, getting back above VWAP, and it's looking to do the same thing it's been doing in the past. But we have to go pretty far back to really take a look at when the last time this happened. So as we look in the past, let's go, for example, when we hit $12. We had that pretty volatile move. We were riding the VWAP all the way up, and then we eventually had the big move, right? The big gap, and then we came down. Very similar to what AMC did. We trended, and then we got back above VWAP like we're doing right now. Like, I can't say that we're going to, gap up or start getting a great move on Monday, but based on history, it's doing the same thing again. And now we're sitting on top, and it looks like we're going to start trending back to the upside. So the question is how quickly do we start running? And I don't really want to cover DTCC rules because, in my opinion, those aren't solely based on AMC. Now, I agree that there's a lot of over leveraging when it comes to AMC, but I think AMC and GameStop are just the tip of the iceberg. I believe that this is really an account for the whole stock market as a whole, and I don't think we have a grasp on how much these funds are over leveraging on the bull market right now, and they're not accounting for bonds and yields and stuff like that. Now, I was going to go into the video and make stuff about yields, but I know you guys don't really want to see that, and I know that might just confuse some of you guys. So I do want to highlight, and women, I know I have women in there too. I'm ignorant sometimes, so I'm sorry. But as we move, I do want to highlight that, and I understand that it's hard to use some of this terminology because I know everyone didn't go to school understanding bonds, yields, and money flow. It's a difficult thing to really understand the terminology, and they make it that way so the normal person or the average person can't understand it. So I believe, it sucks that I can't really go over too in-depth with most people about that, but if you're in the Discord, I'll try to cover that as best as possible as well. Even the free part of the Discord, I'll go over in there as well. I try to cover everything on AMC 100% free. I don't really mind at all. But on AMC, what we're getting, right, we had a really strong few candles to end the week. We held that, and then we're actually getting that flag on the upside now. So that's what I want to see is coming into the week. I want to see a quick move back above 1020, and then let's just see sideways movement, and I believe we'll just start trending back up. But another thing I want to point out is the OBV as well. The OBV looks extremely strong, which is the on-balance volume. Even though the volume isn't incredible, right? We haven't been incredible. We had 32 million, then we had like a 23, and then we had our high day when we got that pump to 10.7. And then we had 27 to end the week on Friday, and we still ended above $10 flat. So that was really nice. The OBV is still remaining on the upside, showing that there's really no sellers on the stock as far as retail goes, right? As far as actual shareholders go, there might be shorts coming on, but there's not people selling the stock. That's what we like to see right now. And so that is a really important part to focus on, is that we're getting another, what it looks like, a flag back to the upside on the OBV. And so this is going to be the key area, in my opinion, right here. is can we get back above this area right here? And then as we come back out, once we get above this area, I believe things could get really interesting because one will break out of this trend that we're currently in. I want to break out of this trend as quickly as possible back to the upside. And this is something we saw in the past as well, just so you can come back and highlight. So we saw the same thing. It looks exactly similar to here. We saw that trend. We were kind of stuck in this zone. We had that break back to the upside, came down, and then we started breaking. And once we broke above, it was all uphill from there. And so one thing I want to point out when it comes to AMC, I'm just looking at what's happened previously, and it's worked pretty well to this point. And that's why I believe going into the end of the month, it looks so strong. Now, am I saying we get a $40 push? No, I'm saying very conservative. And honestly, if you entered most of those calls that I entered, being conservative, taking profits as we get a push up is pretty smart. Worst case scenario, you buy more calls dated as we progress throughout the month. That's something that you could do. So people always think, you know, you got to hold, you got to hold, you got to hold. Now, stocks are a completely different story. And a lot of people, when they're typing under these messages and leaving comments, they own stock. So if you own options, I would take what other people say with a grain of salt and look at your profits and sit back and think, was that a good day? And then as you make that money, you can just wait for dips. Because one thing you do know about AMC, and it keeps happening, it keeps happening, it keeps happening. Every time we get these gaps up, it's followed by a quick retrace back to the downside. Every single time. Now, what's going to happen is if eventually we get that squeeze, it's just going to be a massive stick straight to the upside. Okay, it's just going to keep happening. It's this gap, 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 gap. Probably flip circuit breakers. I doubt they start flipping circuit breakers. It could happen. I don't know how. It's hard to say. It does happen on the rare side of things, on the bullish side, but we'll have to see what happens. Now, CCIV was one of those that they had to keep flipping. So we'll see. They have been doing it recently. We'll see what happens. Okay, we'll see what happens. But overall, looking at the end of the week, this looked really strong. It would have been a little bit better if we closed above 1020. We didn't, but we're sitting and riding on VWAP. I like it. Typically, Mondays are the stronger days when it comes to AMC. When we're on that bull trend, you can go look at the past. Mondays and Tuesdays typically are when we get those strong days, and then we kind of pull back on Thursdays, and then Fridays are typically a battle for a key range. But on, to end the week on Friday, we didn't really have a battle. We just held that range pretty well and didn't even get too much resistance on the upside, which is something that's really good to point out. To wrap up the video, I just want to highlight how bonkers this is. Like, this mind-boggling, right? Absolute mind-boggling that they just aren't giving you the data anymore. And this is extremely just concerning because when AMC does pop and people want to say people are going to get margin called and, all this stuff, and it could happen. Chances are the market's going to start doing crazy stuff in the next few months that no one really expects. And I understand there's going to be a lot of money to be made, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not great for the country as a whole. People are going to lose jobs. If banks go under, if hedgies lose, the way that our financial system is set up, middle class, lower class people are going to get affected the worst. They're going to lose their homes. They're going to lose a lot of stuff going on. So that's something to think about because interest rates are so low. The way that we are set up, we are in a hyper-inflated economy right now. And it's sad to see what's going on. But I recommend, honestly, make as much money as you can right now. Prepare for the worst because honestly, after, we have all these great runs, chances are 2022, 2023, market gets absolutely demolished and things start taking a turn for the worse. I hate to be a bear, but I'm not a bear on AMC. I'm just pointing out realism perspective on the stock, but I am a bear on the economy in the long term grand scheme of things. Over the next few years, things look terrible. Lumber's at sky high prices. Steel's going through the roof. Oil's super undervalued. The DXY is just getting destroyed. Devaluation across the board. Who knows what's going to happen? I just recommend you guys play it safe, make your money, and don't overextend. That's going to wrap the video up, guys. No real closing statements from me. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Have a good one.
For real, we gonna rock, then we gonna fall, then we let it pop.